Doc's recent tweet of him playing chess while we're playing checkers implies that there's something we don't know about his controversy. And maybe he's right. I found out new information that gives us a little more insight on the reason for DrDisRespect's ban from Twitch and how bad it might have really been. I haven't seen anyone else say this or report on it at all, and I don't want to keep reporting on this. But maybe I wouldn't have to if the people who are supposed to be reporting on this would do their jobs fully. If you've been following my videos about the recent controversy around DrDisRespect's ban, you already know that I feel like two major elephants in the room are not being addressed. And they're two pieces of major circumstantial evidence that contradict the picture that the ex-Twitch employees have been painting this whole time. One of the elephants is that Twitch paid the doc out in full, which still makes no sense to me if what he did was actually true, because it's pretty horrific. But my new info has to do with the second piece of circumstantial evidence. And if you remember from my legal analysis in the past videos, circumstantial evidence can be way more valuable than direct evidence. So what I learned recently is 3 things about the NCMEC. 2 of them are new, but the first one is a correction, really. Okay, more like 2 corrections, really, but one of them is really small. Still, accuracy is important when you're dealing with this kind of allegation, and I care about giving you guys correct info. It's always good to reflect on what you're sharing with the world. Get it? My first correction is that I've been pronouncing the acronym for the NCMEC wrong. The person who gave me the info told me they don't call it the NCMEC in their business. They just call it NCMEC. The other correction I want to clarify is something I learned from you guys, the viewers. I made a video where I slice up Slasher. I made a video where I slammed Slasher, calling him out for claiming he broke the news that Twitch turned over the doc chats to the NCMEC. To NCMEC. I said he never reported that, and I was right, kinda. I had some comments on that video correcting me that he did report it in Rolling Stone, and I didn't see it. Between the time Slasher streamed those statements to Destiny, I had time to watch the stream, read his report in Rolling Stone, search the internet, write my script, record and edit the video, and during all that time, there was no reporting of Twitch sending chats to NCMEC at all. Only after I posted my video did I see that Rolling Stone had posted an amendment, a correction, an edit at 10:50 p.m., adding in that info. But if you look at when I downloaded the article, I'm showing it right here, you could see it was before they even changed it. Either way, correction made. Okay, now here are the 2 juicy things that I learned. Being that I'm an attorney, right? You see the graphic, I made that myself, it has to be true. I have some attorney friends, and one of them is a woman who prosecutes child exploitation cases and actually works with NCMEC. Well, what do you know? I figured I'd just reach out and ask her to help us clarify the question, specifically, how far did the investigation of the doc likely go? Would NCMEC ever be in a situation where they would not report something like this to law enforcement? This is important because the direct evidence is that Doc was reported to NCMEC by Twitch, and on the other end, the circumstantial evidence is that no one charged him with the several crimes he allegedly committed, assuming that the picture being painted by the ex-Twitch employees is true. Remember that whole explanation from my latest video about him not being charged and why that's important? Well, we caught a lot of people off guard with that one. But my previous understanding was wrong. I thought that NCMEC would review the information and decide whether or not they should send it to police. I said this. We also don't know how far the investigation went after it went to the NCMEC. It could have gone to the cops, and it could have gone all the way to the DA. But if the DA didn't file it, we would have no information about how far it had gone. My prosecutor friend corrected this. No, you were wrong, Legend. NCMEC would absolutely report this to the police agency that would investigate this crime in that jurisdiction. She also confirmed that Twitch would have had to report Doc's chats to NCMEC. Kind of crazy how Slasher never mentioned any of this, that NCMEC definitely had to turn over the chats to the police. Omitting that created so much wonder, even in my mind, if maybe someone at this nonprofit NCMEC dropped the ball and that's why Doc was never charged. Okay, Legend, you're going on again about Slasher when you're doing the same thing. You're not even naming your source. You're right. My friend isn't going to come over to my little studio and put her name out there for us when she has no idea what the hell streaming is even about. She didn't even understand the picture of the doc when I showed it to her. So I decided to get the information firsthand myself. I called NCMEC on July 12th at 5:09 p.m. Here it is on my phone. Hold on. I told the NCMEC employee who answered me that I'm an attorney and that my prosecutor friend told me certain information that gave me a certain impression I wanted to clear up. I spoke with a guy named Sean. No last names, he just was the guy working on the phone and answered it. He did tell me he knows information about how they proceed with tips like that from Twitch. I asked him, does NCMEC report all the information, all the tips that they get from a company to the police? He said yes. They report every tip they get to the appropriate law enforcement agency that has jurisdiction on that particular case. Then I asked him, is there ever any time that NCMEC would not forward a tip like this to law enforcement? He said no. I asked, does NCMEC even evaluate the evidence before they send it to law enforcement? He said, they are not an investigative agency. NCMEC does not look into it further. They always send it to police for investigation while they do their work alongside. Do you know what this means? It means that we can pretty much be certain that Doc was investigated by police, professionals who investigate this stuff all the time. And now we know it comes down to this. Either the cops or the DA felt that the conduct wasn't enough for a charge. Hold on. There's another possibility that the statute of limitations had run. Statute of limitations, if you don't know, gives prosecutors a time limit on when to prosecute certain crimes. So I asked my prosecutor friend who explained that the law gives a time extension for crimes like this to be 1 year from the time it was discovered. That's because obviously a lot of minors don't know to report things until they get older, so the law accounts for that. I did my own legal research on this just a little bit, and I couldn't find anything on point for the exact 3 charges that I talked about in my other video that Doc would be guilty of, but my prosecutor friend seemed very, very confident that the statute of limitations wouldn't have run when I told her specifics about what the Doc allegedly did. Also, shout out to an anonymous Redditor who works with NCMEC and law enforcement and reached out to me to answer questions. He agreed with what my prosecutor friend said, but obviously he's also anonymous and I wasn't about to ask a Redditor to tell me his real name. That's the new info, a little nugget, but it's important. I don't know what game Doc is playing here, but it really could be that he has something up his sleeve, or it could be that the ship has already sailed on this one. I don't know, you tell me. If you want to know why this little nugget is so pivotal in the Doc's controversy, click the video on the top. And if you're sick of Doc videos and wonder why Logan Paul sued CoffeeZilla, click the video on the bottom.